What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be recapping two big tournaments from this past weekend. The first one is the one that you see on your screen. It was the online Victory Road February Challenge. That was about 200 players. Decent turnout, honestly. And then the other one was in person. This one was the PR special, right? The San Juan special event, just under 100 players there. But again, all data that you want to be able to look at and analyze, so this way it'll be useful if you're going into EUIC tomorrow, right? So again, and even after EUIC, you still have 2 months of this format to go here. So any kind of big event is still like important to be able to look at and get data. So this way you can, adjust your team building if you have to, or look at, maybe something that you can build off of, whether it be a niche mod or a certain archetype that maybe you can consider exploring just based off of current metadata, right? So we'll look at the PR results first, and then we'll take a look at the Victory Road Challenge there and see what exactly can we get out of that. And then at the end, we'll make some EUIC predictions. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to PR here. All right, so we'll start up here at the top here. So, Kyogre does take first place here, and this is no different than Oliver Escalin's World Championship team here. So it's always just pretty interesting to see, the fact that Oliver's team is still strong even right now. This was a team from last year in the World Championships, right? Last August. And yet here we are with the Calm Mind stuff, with Kyogre here. And this is basically replacing Terapagos as like the dominant Calm Mind user. You've got, again, the support here with the double fake out, the redirection support to be able to set up this Calm Mind. You've got all the damage mitigation that you need here with the Incineroar and the Will-O-Wisp for physical damage reduction. Then you get the special damage reduction with the Calm Mind, right? We've seen this before. And then you add the Roaring Moon here, which again with this dragon typing is pretty good against the Fire, Water, Grass cores, and gives you that Shadow Rider matchup, especially with the booster energy. You can just naturally outspeed it. Then you can just give your entire team speed control here with Tailwind support, which is really good because the Ogre and the Urshifu, they very much appreciate that. So and if you just look at the tournament down here, you don't really see another Kyogre team until down here at 11th, and it's pretty much the same team here. Otherwise, there is one more here, outside of Cut here. But this looks like our rental, but there's one mon difference here. But you can also play Kyogre like this, with this Tornadus, with Urshifu and Chien-Pao here. Just be super aggressive with your Tailwind ideas, and then your Serena fulfills that Farigiraf slot. Technically, you can just deny priority against the Ogre here, and then the Rillaboom is just another choice here that you could put on this slot here. It's interesting to have both Rillaboom and Serena, but it does make sense. Usually, you can have something else here. But I think we put Landorus in that slot there, but it still makes sense here. Terra Ground Rillaboom can do the job that it needs to do. So Ogre there with the Calm Mind setup takes first place there. Then as you look at some of the other stuff, the Zamazenta cores here. So you've got the Pelipper, again, just reducing fire damage against Zamazenta here, and then of course enabling the Urshifu. Then you've got the Wide Guard support, and then you just add Chien-Pao that makes the Urshifu and Zamazenta deal even more damage. And then the Raging Bolt here gives you another special attacker, and you get the Bolt Beam coverage with the Ice and Electric type attacks from the Chien-Pao and the Raging Bolt there. So pretty self-explanatory. Then the other way that you can play it is, the Entei Chien-Pao stuff, and along with Zamazenta, that's another core that is still strong even right now, and it's still getting results here. And then the other one is, of course, the Tomiyuki 6 with the Fluttermane and the Chiyu and the Amoonguss. But you didn't see it here, but you did see it within the VR challenge there, right? So then as you move forward here, you get some weird stuff here, like from VJ Suit. I don't know if you'll see this at EUIC. I think only VJ can pull off a team like this. This is basically the same kind of mods that he's been running, every so often at every so regional, since like Regulation A. The only thing now is that he just slapped on a Terapagos here and calls it a day, right? So it makes sense, but he's the only one that can really do this. Afterwards, then you see just like the Calyrex stuff here with either the Pelipper or no Pelipper stuff, right? So I still like this core of the, just Calyrex and then Amoonguss and Landorus. I've said this before, but the fact that you have redirection support, with the Amoonguss that can help you set up Trick Room. You have Spore Pressure in Trick Room. And then you get your Miraidon matchup all together, with the Landorus here. It's just a really good trio right now. and it has been a really good trio for the last, I would say, month and a half or so. So, kudos to Amungus and Landorus here. But, Pat, we even have his pace here, but we don't necessarily need to look at his pace here. Again, it's just all about the Raging Bolt being, relatively bulky here. The Poison Calyrex is the key here. Sometimes you might see Fairy, sometimes you might see Fire, Grass, Water even. To each their own. There's always pros and cons to the Fairy, Poison, or other kinds of Terra option on the Calyrex, but in this case, the Poison does work out for him. And then, of course, the Terra Fairy Amoonguss with the Rocky Helmet. You can break a lot of sash this way. This Pelipper is a bulky Pelipper set. I remember it was 252 HP. This was a modest 196 Pelipper, hitting the benchmark, the third bump there. So, you're able to do a lot of damage, and then you don't even have that much speed. So this way you can actually be a decent Trick Room threat, because Pelipper's base speed is only like 60. So, yeah. And then same thing with Raging Bolt here. Another, not that much speed here. This Calyrex, I remember it was Adamant, 252 HP, 116 attack there, and then just a little bit of speed, right? You're not even Brave Nature on this Calyrex. You have a lot of Spadef. I remember it's about 116 special defense there. So, you can take an Astral Barrage, especially if it's like a timid one, for sure. And then these coaching buffs here on the Calyrex are just really, really good too. They're going to give you the setup that you need to be able to sweep. So I do like Pelipper or Urshifu teams like that. And then, you'll see some like Sun teams like this. Look at this Groudon team, by the way. This was a pretty cool Groudon team. So ironic that you're on the same team as a Weezing, which can take away weather, but this can also take away weather from Kyogre. So you get that idea. And then a well-played Weezing will shut down a lot of different teams, because neutralizing gas is very devastating, and a lot of Pokemon need their abilities to be really good. So if you can take that away with Weezing, then you're in a driver's seat here. And, this is a pretty aggressive Groudon team. You got Whimsicott, Ogerpon, Heartflame, Urshifu here, so you can do like Tailwind Wicked Blow plays. Ivy Cudgel in the sun is going to hurt a lot. This is a setup Groudon here with Bulk Up. I'm not so sure we need that. I think on this type of team, maybe just a single target ground move here, because there's not really too much opportunity to set this up. You do have some redirection here with the Ogerpon Heartflame. I don't know how many times Giancarlo's clicked Bulk Up here, but, I would like to see maybe something else in there. But, it still works. Same thing with Weather Ball, Raging Bolt. Again, relatively niche, but can work. We've seen that before. And then as you scroll down, you get some other niche stuff here with Koraidon, and the Power Herb Armor Rouge here is pretty interesting. But again, another Wide Guard support, which is really good against the Ice Rider. So you could just imagine Koraidon Armor Rouge leads with Wide Guard support. That puts pressure on the Ice Rider altogether, because again, Armor Cannon, Meteor Beam, that the Ice Rider is not going to want to take that, especially in the sun here. So you have that, and I kind of like this idea. This actually makes a lot of sense. So, kudos to Sam for using this. And of course, the Brute Bonded, the Flutter Mane stuff. Lots of Photosynthesis mons here. 1, 2, 3 Protos mons, and then, you get the Armor Rouge here. Chien-Pao is going to make the Koraidon and even the Brute Bonded do a little bit of damage. The Dark typing on the Brute Bonded is really good for, the Shadow Rider matchup. And then, you'll probably see some stuff like this, with the Dondozo Tinglu combo, the Yawn and the Sand Tomb stuff. You trap things. They can't switch out of the Yawn because they're trapped with Sand Tomb, so they go to sleep, they take more damage. And then Chien-Pao Zamazenta just kind of cleans you up along with their Heartflame stuff. So, yeah, we've seen that all together. But as you scroll down, okay, look at these two Miraidon teams here. It's very interesting that the only two Miraidon teams here within the top 14, they are not even Specs Miraidons. These are Assault Vest Miraidons, with the Drift, Meteor, the same set, just with AV. So that's pretty good for like the mirror matchup. It's also pretty good for the Shadow Rider stuff. But all in all, you don't see a couple things here. First of all, you don't see an Iron Hands here. Okay, so you're going a different direction. Instead you're getting Chien-Pao here for a little bit more aggression. So you've got Rapid Strike Urshifu with Chien-Pao, and then even here with the Heartflame, it's going to do a lot of damage with these guys. And then you still have speed control with the Trick Room from the Farigiraf there. Then you got the Dondozo stuff. Okay, you'll definitely see something like this tomorrow, where you have the Miraidon AV yet again, along with Dondozo Chiyu. Dondozo Chiyu, Dondozo Tatsugiri. You know, again, Chi, you're gonna let Miraidon do a little bit more damage, and then from there you can just kind of clean things up with the Dozogiri in the back end, right? So all in all, quite interesting, you know, just in terms of some of the stuff we see here. But then look at some of these guys. All right, one thing you will notice is these Shadow Rider teams, but they do like to feature the Dozos, okay? And some of them will have the Roaring Moon as well. Again, Roaring Moon stocks looking really good right now. Doesn't even have to be Justin Tang's team, just Roaring Moon in general. Looks really good on some different cores here. But I think a lot of these Calyrex teams, they're going to thrive if they play a little bit more aggressively with like expanding force stuff. So for example, right here, I'll go into the Dozo stuff later. I still think, you know, something like this can do well. Okay, like Calyrex, Tornadus, and DD. I know this guy had 4-4 results here, but, you know, still, I think maybe you just change out a couple options here, but I do like this 3-person core with Shadow Rider, Indeedee, and Tornadus. I think if you play it a little bit more aggressively than the boring balance stuff, which probably suits the Kyogre a little bit better, I think the Shadow Rider will get you a little bit more results here, right? And that's just my take on it. And then from there, you know, these last 2 slots can be whatever it is that you want. But, you know, in terms of like other things, this one, okay, so let me look at, well, let's stick with Shadow Rider before we go into Terrapagos here. But, you know, again, the Dozo stuff, this is the droopy Tatsugiri. So again, you're just going for these order ups, right? Going for these hard-hitting body presses because you're getting all these defense boosts, right? You know, and then just clean things up with Calyrex, or you can start with Calyrex and then let Don Dozo finish things off in the back end. So yeah, to each their own in terms of how you want to play it. Then you can do the Smeargle stuff. We will see a little bit more Smeargle moving forward, and not even just with the Shadow Rider. I think you can see this, you know, on a lot of different restricted, especially the Ice Rider. So, you know, Spore, Follow Me, Wide Guard, again, pretty good into the mirror. Then you have Clefairy support to set up this nasty plot stuff. Then you got Tornadus and Urshifu. I do like, you know, the Tailwind Calyrex stuff. I think just playing it a little bit more aggressive is the way to go here. And speaking of Smeargle, you know, I do like some of these Smeargle teams, especially with Calyrex and Torkoal here. So, for example, Sergio's team, okay, he's got the Ice Rider, Smeargle, and the Torkoal here. Sometimes you'll see the Blood Moon or Saluna in this slot, you know, because it does combo well with the Furgraph here. But otherwise, I don't think you'll need both, but you do need at least one special Trick Room Sweeper, okay? You've got the physical one here, but the special one, you can either go with the Torkoal or the Blood Moon, right? So, you know, just going for these Eruption Glacial Landsplays is very, very punishing. And I do like this, but look at this item on Urshifu. It is Power Band Urshifu, which kind of makes sense. You know, you are playing in a Trick Room kind of team, so nice to see something like that. This one is a little bit more standard, obviously, with the Sash Ursh. And then the Flutter Mane here comes here, right? Just another special attacking presence that can be also pretty fast. It's got a Life Orb here, so this Flutter Mane is not going to be supported. This thing is meant to do damage. So you can always do this. Helping Hand Torkoal with Flutter Mane. Like Helping Hand Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam can clean up a lot of different teams. Helping Hand Moonblast, Helping Hand Shadow Ball, especially Terra Fairy with some of these fairy coverage moves. You can definitely do that. So, you know, then you can just do like Indeedee, Calyrex, Indeedee Cornerstone, Follow Me, Trick Room. They kill the Redirector. You bring in the Torkoal, start clicking Eruptions and Glacial Lenses, right? So I do think Smeargle stuff will come about a little bit later. But then you just get like these normal Miraidon teams, you know, with the things that we've seen from last year's World Championship, right? So no real changes there. Then, you know, some of these Koraidon teams, they'll also try and use the Ditto. You know, again, just gives you something to play in that Ice Rider matchup. You can copy their Restricted, you can copy their Ice Rider for that matter. So, you know, that's like one of the main matchups where you can really take advantage of the Ditto. I think Ditto and Smeargle are looking really good, just in terms of where you want to put them in EUIC. Now for Pagos, okay, so this one's a little weird. You know, I see that we have both Prankstermons here. We have both Tornadus and Grimmsnarl. You usually don't see that. You usually see one or the other. I don't think we need both, but I do like the Choice Specs Pagos. I think that is a route that needs a little bit more exploration rather than like the setup stuff, you know, with the double Follow Me, double redirection stuff. I think Specs Pagos, just immediate damage is pretty good. And when you have Urshifu to combo with it, along with the Heartflame Ogerpon, you got a nice little Fire Water Grass core here. So I like these four. I think they can make for a nice little team there. And then from here, I think, Grimmsnarl is pretty good. I don't know if we need Grimmsnarl and Tornadus. Obviously, you don't bring both to a particular matchup. You bring one or the other. Probably this one over into the Trick Room stuff. Because, again, you have, screen support here and foul play into the Ice Rider. But I just think we can have something else in there. But that's just me. And then you even look at this one. This one's a little bit more balanced. You've got Power Herb Pagos with Farigiraf Entei stuff. So, this is something that can come out a little bit. This one is less common than some of the other builds. But again, Power Herb Pagos does exist too. So you can get some damage. That way you can be more aggressive with your setup. And of course, you get the Zacian stuff here. Regidrago. Again, you'll see at least one of these in every regional. Just someone who really likes to use the Zacian hyper offensive stuff. So yeah, all in all, it's quite interesting there. But just again looking at some of these top cut results here, I think the Calyrex Among Us Lander was really good. The Kyogre balance is still pretty strong right now. Miraidon teams, either it's the Dozo stuff with AV or it's just the regular Miraidon stuff here. And then after that, you see all these Calyrex teams down here, right? So they're nowhere else, right? You just look at this. Look, where's the Calyrex? None. They're all down here. So, that just shows you, the struggles of the Shadow Rider right now. And that may continue in EUIC unless they find another build that can get them over the top. I still think the aggressive route is the way to go and needs a little bit more exploration. But just in terms of what we see here, I think this is really good. And these Ice Rider teams are really good right now. And then everything else I just said. So, yeah. Now, what I want to also do now is, let's compare some of this stuff to what we saw from the VR challenge, okay? And let's see if there's any kind of correlation there. All right, so you had Reina on that side. So now on this side, you can see that we have a Sun team over here in first place. This is a Koraidon team here. Minjuno, and look at this. That is not a Ditto. That is a Smeargle. So look at this. Again, Spore, Follow Me, Wyguard, 3 of the best support moves in the game. And the Smeargle gets all of it, right? And then the other option, something that you normally don't see on Koraidon, but instead see on the Rain instead of the Sun, is the Landorus. And that's because of the 100% accurate Sandsear Storm in the Rain. But here, we get to see the Landorus on a Sun team, which, does have its benefits because now in the Sun, Urshifu Rapid Strike cannot KO this Landorus because, again, Surging Strikes gets reduced damage in the Sun. So now, you still have some other stuff. Now you can snipe them, especially, with Psychic stuff. So that's pretty cool there. And then, of course, you have your Miraidon matchup all together. So, and then you still have Sludge Bomb for the Ogerpons too, right? Because they still have that grass typing. So all in all, this Landorus still has a lot of use here, right? And then, from here, it's just the standard stuff with Koraidon. You got your Raging Bolt and Flutter Mane there, your 2 Photosynthesis monsters. This is Life Orb, Raging Bolt too. And then the Cornerstone, again, sturdy, really good right now in Regulation G. Then after this, then you have the Support Calm Mind Pagos, right? From Julio Tarlau. Okay, again. And then you throw in a Tornadus there. So now we still have some hyper offensive ideas here. There's no Rain Dance on this. So this Urshifu is just going to have to rely on the Mystic Water for a little bit more damage. And then, look, they have Air Slash here instead of Bleak Wind Storm now. I guess Julio was kind of tired of missing his Bleak Winds there. So I understand. Then you've got these Miraidon teams here. This is not the Assault Vest Miraidons. These are the Specs Miraidons, of course. The 6 is probably the most common Regulation G team right now. But look at this Kyogre team. That is not Oliver's team, right? That is not the Calm Mind Ogre. This is a little bit different. This time we're seeing Farigiraf and Ursaluna here. So, you can either see Farigiraf or Serena in this slot here, of course. But look, now you're saying, I don't want Urshifu here, right? So sometimes you'll see Tornadus, Chien-Pao, Ursh, with Kyogre and the Serena or Farigiraf, but now we're going a different direction. Now what we're saying is we're going to add a little bit more and have a Trick Room mode. So now we're going to have Farigiraf to deny priority. We can keep our grass typing by adding an Amoonguss, even though we don't have Serena. And then we can add Ursaluna for, the Trick Room ideas. And this is also a pretty decent Shadow Rider / Miraidon matchup because of your normal ground typing there, right? So you have things to deny priority. Okay, you have a Trick Room mode and you have a Tailwind mode. So there's some decent flexibility here. And, you know, you can always soak up the electric attacks coming into Kyogre by bringing in your Ursaluna. So, yeah, I mean, you just double up a little bit on the grass weakness here, but, you know, you have a couple of grass resists, right? So this still, like, kind of works out here. And you have some ideas here with Tornadus Ursaluna. I would not be surprised if this Ursaluna had some speed investment. So this way, you know, you could do, like, Tailwind Earthquake plays with this. But I think with the Furgraph here, I think this is just straight up Brave Ursaluna here. But again, I won't put it past them if this Ursaluna did have some sort of speed there. So we'll have to wait and see if they do make use of that. Here's another unique Calyrex team here. Look at this. You got the Fluttermane Chi-Yu stuff here. You could almost, you would almost think that this would be a Shadow Rider team instead, but it's actually a Nice Rider team, right? You still have a Fire Water Grass core here with Ursh, Amoonguss, and Chi-Yu here. Scarf Chi-Yu, again, giving you that flexibility to outspeed the Shadow Rider, not needing Tailwind support from a Tornadus, for example. You know, it's sturdy Ogerpon here, Amoonguss, so double redirectors, double grass types here. Yeah, sure, it makes sense. Then you get these boring Calyrex teams here. Again, you know, we were speaking about this. You can play this way. There's nothing wrong about this. It did very, very well. 7-2. In fact, that's the best performing Calyrex team here. But there are other ways that you can even play it here. How about this one? 8-1. This one features the Heart Flame and the Raging Bolt here. And it's still like more or less a balanced stuff here. And then you just add Whimsicott Tailwind stuff. So yeah, Terra Fairy Calyrex, again, the Terra will always, you know, be a coin toss. You'll see a lot of different fairy types there. I'm sorry, Terra types. But, you know, really what it comes down to is how do you want to play this Shadow Rider? Okay, do you want to play like more balanced stuff, or do you want to play a little bit more aggressive? Okay, because not all of these Shadow Rider teams do have Tailwind, but I think, you know, it still needs a little bit more play. I think just playing the Calyrex more aggressively, sticking to its nature, is the way to go with it. Okay, but that's just me. That's just my opinion. Okay, afterwards, what else are we looking at here? There's Oliver's Kyogre team there, right? A little bit different than this Kyogre team. There's the Ditto variant here with Raheem. There's the Mienshao Clefairy support here for the Citrus Berry Shadow Rider. Okay, again, you can play this way if you want. You don't need your Tailwind support there. There's the Zamazenta stuff, you know, with the Dondozo Tinglu, Santum Yawn combinations. We've already previewed something like that. There's the Tomiyuki 6, right? This is the other Zamazenta core that also still works right now besides, you know, the Chien-Pao Entei stuff, right? So I do like this the most, but we'll have to wait and see if that is the highest placing Zamazenta the next weekend. All right, look at this. Look at this from Yuki right here. Okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This almost looks like that Zacian hyper offensive team, right? You know, you just add Zacian here with the Regidrago, create pins with Dragon Energy and Behemoth Blade. But now Yuki says, let me take out Zacian and let me add a better restricted. And this is where he's adding the Shadow Rider. Now you actually have expanding force plays with Indeedee. You have aggression with Astral Barrage. You have Whimsicott here, Tailwind, you know, Surging Strikes, and again, Mystic Waters. It's going to hurt a lot, okay? And this Ogerpon Heart Flame here gives you that FWG core. And look, this is Taunt Urshifu. That's the correct one because, you know, just denying protects and setups. And you can't even click Aqua Jet in you know, Psychic Terrain anyway. So let's get a decently fast Taunt and deny potential Trick Room or potential Follow Me's and whatnot. So I like this. I like this a lot. So good ideas there from Yuki. And, you know, if you look here, you know, besides Justin Tangstein, you know, with the Roaring Moon here, you know, we actually see that a few times. But look at this one down here, right? Even here, the Roaring Moon with the Shadow Rider, along with the Kyogre stuff, can still do well. So, like, you see how Roaring Moon is a little bit more flexible with where you can use it, right? If it wants Tailwind, you can definitely make room for the Roaring Moon here. So I do like this. So shout outs to who's using this? Giovanni. Okay, there you go, Gio. So nice job there. Here's more Tailwind stuff. No Indeedee stuff, but again, can still work. You still got Amoonguss and Incineroar defensive backbone, and here's your hyper aggressive core with these four, the Chien-Pao, Ursh, and Tornadus here. So I think this is also fine. Look at this one though. This one's a pretty cool one. I know it went 5-4, but this to me is just looking like acid spray all over. Yeah, it is. Look at this. It has to be, right? There's no other reason why you would put an Iron Moth here over something like an Ogerpon. But Acid Spray Iron Moth. Okay, I respect it. Again, a little bit more damage with Astral Barrage and Expanding Force. Yet again, Tailwind, Indeedee, and the Calyrex. I like this. This is the way I think more people should play the Calyrex right now, at least. But to each their own, of course. You can still see Kyogres be played like this. Instead of the Roy Moon, you get the Iron Jugulis. So this way you get Snarl, and you don't have to subject yourself to Intimidate. This one right here, this Koraidon team, again, people are trying different things here. So Walking Wake, we did this with Groudon a little bit when we did our Groudon video. Not too bad there. Here's another case. Look at this. All right, so here's Pagos. Again, there's the Choice Specs idea, but another case of adding 2 Prankstermons on the same teams here. So this is now not once but twice that we've seen that. Okay, and I guess there is some merit to it. Again, you don't bring both into one matchup. Just depends, but nice to see a little bit more Choice Specs ideas from the Pagos take full advantage instead of falling back on the Calm Mind stuff, which I think is a little bit better suited for the Kyogre kind of teams there, right? So again, just going back up here, I do think we'll see a little bit more Tailwind teams, right? Look at how many Tailwind teams here we got here. It's not just Whimsicott creating Tailwind. You still got the Tornado stuff here. You've got Rory Moon creating Tailwind. You got Iron Jugulis creating Tailwind. Okay, so people finally are playing the format a little bit more aggressively, which means the games are going to be a little bit more faster, and they're a little bit more, again, it's like matchup roulette, this whole business here. But yeah, I mean, honestly, with the exception of maybe a couple of teams with some niche mons, the teams that are doing well are, have already done well before. Okay, and now it just comes down to execution at EUIC, and we'll see. Because again, it's a big tour, right? It's 3 days, so we'll have to see the results from there, and that's going to dictate a lot moving forward. Because that's like the halfway point of the second go around of Reg G. Because then this will be like technically almost 2 months now. So yeah, now what I want to do is, now that we've seen like both kind of tours, I want to do like a little bit of a summary thing and just make some predictions about what you can see tomorrow at EUIC. Let's take a look. All right, so now just in terms of a little bit of predictions here. So let's start here. I think if the Shadow Rider teams want to do well, I think they have to play more aggressive. We've been saying this already, in this video. I just think, you want to stay true to some of its roots here. Like, if this is an aggressive mon, which it is, play it aggressively, okay? And I want to, you should definitely, build on it with this. Right, the rest of the team just depends on you and the the matchups, but I think at the very least a Tailwind user with Psychic Terrain to take advantage of the Expanding Force stuff is the way to go with the Calyrex moving forward. Again, that's just my take, but if it wants to do well, I think that's the way. Same thing over here. Like, I think the Specs Pagos with the Tailwind user is also the way to go here. I think we don't need to set it up. I think we can just rely on some of its brute offense here and just take advantage of that, right? Now, I think if you want to do the Calm Mind stuff, I think Kyogre is a little bit better this time around for that. But, to each their own. Speaking of Ogre, I think the Rain and Sun teams are going to do well. But I think the Ogre team, the Rain team, a little bit more than the Sun, right? And I even wrote that over here. And that's because I think the Kyogre teams have a better Ice Rider matchup, all right, in my opinion, okay? Because you can resist Glacial Lance. Koraidon needs a Ditto, okay? Copy the Calyrex to be able to try and play that matchup. Or it needs a Smeargle to try and click Wide Guard, okay? And then threaten it with Spore. So it does need they need their own tools, right? But because I think the Ogre is able to resist the Glacial Lance and not necessarily quote unquote reliant on a Wide Guard, I think that's going to help it a little bit more than some of these Sun teams. But I think you'll get a couple placements within Top Cut for sure. Now, in terms of, the Calyrex teams, this is a core that is on my map here. I want to see how these three do. I know people are going to bring it, okay? And I'm very curious as to how these three will do. I think they'll do very well, okay? I think you'll definitely see it within day 2. As far as, like, what's going to win EUIC, I still think this is going to win. Like, some form of Amoonguss Landorus with the Ice Rider is going to win. The rest of the three, I don't care what is there. It could be the Tang variant. It could be something else. But as long as you got these three, I think you're in a good spot there. And that is my pick to win EUIC. As far as like some other stuff, I think Zamazenta you know, with the Tomiyuki 6, this is going to do fine. You know, Vladimir Chiu, I think that's okay. Otherwise, I still think, where's that? The Chen Pao Amoonguss cores, you know, with Entei, for example, can still do fine. All right, maybe you'll see the Dondozo Tinglu variants. You know, we'll have to wait and see. As far as like the support mons that you're definitely going to see, you're going to see one of these two in top 8, maybe even both. Okay, Smeargle, Ditto stuff, they're just really, really good support mons right now. I definitely expect to see at least one of these in top 8. Same thing with like Roaring Moon. I think Roaring Moon is like a really good support option too. It's very splashable on all of these teams. You know, no matter what. We've seen it on Ice Rider. We've seen it on Kyogre. We've seen it on Shadow Rider. Okay, we've seen it on some Amazenta teams. Okay, we've seen it on multiple restricted. Okay, Groudon teams, of course, Koraidon teams too. It just goes, you know, without saying, the Dragon Dark typing is not bad at all. You know, again, really good pressure into the Fire, Water, Grass stuff. Super effective acrobatics damage into 2 of the 3. Okay, and of course you have the Dark typing and the speed advantage against the Shadow Rider. So all in all, the Roaring Moon is in a pretty good spot. And then this thing is just clicking Follow Me, Spore, and Wide Guard every other turn. It's so annoying. So yeah, have fun with that. And then this thing copies your restricted, as if you didn't have enough to worry about with someone else's restricted. So I think these guys are going to be, you know, pretty good focus in tomorrow. And then of course, you know, the Clover favorite, the Lunala pick. You're going to see one of these, you know, in like a top 32 kind of scenario, top 64, something like that. I definitely will call the top 32 Lunala right here. Okay, you'll see one. You'll see one. Maybe not 2. Maybe not 3. You'll definitely see 1. Okay, I still think you can play it like this. You know, again, the same thing like the Shadow Rider, the aggressive expanding force idea with Tailwind support here. You don't even need Trick Room to sometimes just be that bulky restricted that can deal some damage here, right? So Meteor Beam is going to be really good. This is like the one thing that the Shadow Rider can't do. Got Meteor Beam access. You still have Shadow Shield here, making yourself pretty bulky there. So in terms of the rest of the team, there's some ideas. We'll show you our Lunala team building video in the coming days there. But I do think one Lunala will sneak into the top 32 there. All right. So again, this is my pick to win, right? These guys, this 3. And after that, you already know what I said. Okay. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, well, you know, hopefully you enjoy the stream tomorrow. You know, enjoy EUIC starting with day 1, and let me know what you think are your picks to see tomorrow there. All right, but yeah, that's it for now, folks. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.